Hello, everyone. I hope you are still safe and healthy at home. On Monday, we talked about the Reformation. We talked about Martin Luther in Germany. Today, we're going to continue with the Reformation. I'm going to call this Reformation Part 2. We're going to talk about two other people during the Reformation. We're talking, of course, about the Protestant Reformation, and you'll see how two other countries handled the Reformation. So here we go. John Calvin was another reformer that we see during the Renaissance period. He was very, very different than Martin Luther. A famous quote attributed to him seems a bit strange. It says, "May little chickens dig out your eyes 100,000 times." Calvin definitely disagreed with a lot of the other reformers, especially Martin Luther, and he would get into arguments with them. Calvin was born in France, moved to Switzerland during his lifetime. That's where he died. He believed in predestination. We're going to talk about that in a few other slides, and it'll really explain more about what he believed, but Calvin was not afraid to get in fights with other reformers. Like many of the Protestant reformers of the time, John Calvin was very anti-Catholic. If you remember back to Martin Luther, he was upset with the Catholic Church. He thought that they had too much money. He didn't like the way that they sold their indulgences. And he believed that people could be saved by their faith alone. So Calvin was also anti-Catholic. He was influenced by Martin Luther, but he did disagree with Luther's salvation through faith alone. He did not think that that's how people were saved. And once he got to Switzerland, he did create his own Protestant religion, and that religion is known as Calvinism, named after him. The basic premise of Calvinism is predestination. So what he believed is that at birth, it is decided whether you will go to heaven or to hell. It doesn't matter really what happens during your lifetime. That is all decided right when you are born. Calvin believed that materialism and wealth were good things. He didn't really see anything wrong with those. He stressed that work was good for you. It helps build character, and work also equals success. So it was easy for him to get the middle class to convert to Calvinism because the middle class people always want to try and climb up to a higher level. So if you think about, can I choose who sits at my table? If you have that ability to climb and go higher on the social pyramid, work is going to let you do that. So those people that want to do better with their lives are going to want to work so that they can. And Calvinism doesn't say you can't do that, because when you are born, you are already predestined to either go to heaven or to hell. Although you were predestined to do that, and God knows everything that will happen in your life, and although work was a good thing and it was okay to increase your social layer or your social class during your life, he still believed that there were certain things that you did need to do in your life, and you needed to have a purified approach or lead a pure life. So what that meant was, you shouldn't be drinking, you shouldn't be swearing, you shouldn't be gambling, you shouldn't be playing cards. So yes, you can work, yes, you can try and improve your social status, but you still need to live a pure life and not do those other things that he considers to be impure. So with Martin Luther, we saw the Lutheran Church pretty much started in Germany. Similarly, Calvinism started in Switzerland, and in Switzerland, the people that followed that were known as Calvinists. In England, they became known as Puritans. In Scotland, they became known as Presbyterians. In Holland, they were Dutch Reformists. In France, they were Huguenots. and in Germany they were known as the Reformed Church. Next year, the Puritans will be very important in the beginning of our studies for how America came to be. So on Monday, we saw this graphic where we saw Christianity and we saw the two arrows going out. On the left side, we have Catholic. On the right side, we had Protestant. But now under Protestant, we can see, again, more arrows. To the left, we have Lutheran. To the right, we have Calvinism. And then under Calvinism, we have the Puritans, the Huguenots, the Presbyterians. We would also have the German Reformers, and we would have the Dutch Reformers. So again, all of these religions fall under the big umbrella of Christianity, and then most of these religions, except for Catholics, fall under the umbrella of Protestants. But all of these religions are Christian religions. So now we're going to move to England. And I'd like to introduce you to King Henry VIII. So King Henry VIII is the King of England. He is the monarch in England. During his monarchy, at the beginning of his monarchy, followed the Catholic Church. So let's see what happens. So if we think about a king or a monarch, they have absolute rule. They are the supreme leader of their country. And again, in a monarchy, when the monarch dies, their eldest son would become then the new monarch. And if there are no sons, the rule would pass to their brother or through some other line of succession. But back in these days, it would not pass to a female. Okay, so they would find a line of succession that it would pass to a male. So Henry VIII, the King of England, during his early life was a big defender of the Catholic Church. He married Catherine of Aragon, who was from Spain. Originally, she was married to Harry's older brother, who had been the King of England. He died, did not have a son, so Henry became the king. There's our male line of succession. And Catherine became his wife. Hopefully you're not too confused yet. Catherine gave him a daughter, but he needed a son to take over his kingdom, and she did not have any other children. Because she did not bear him a son, therefore, no one to succeed him in his rule of England. He said his marriage was not his choice. He was forced to marry her when his older brother died. And he went to the Pope and he told the Pope he wanted a divorce because he needed a son to carry on for him. And the Pope said, nope, not giving you a divorce. Because, of course, the Pope did not recognize divorce. This actually, again, will become very important next year in 8th level when we talk about why some people came to the Americas to get away from the Church of England. So, King Henry breaks away from the Catholic Church because he can't get his divorce, and he creates the Church of England, where he becomes the head of the church. Remember I said this is important next year, because guess what? The Church of England will allow divorce. So, King Henry can divorce Catherine of Aragon, he can remarry, and he ends up having 6 wives. And his wives are divorced, beheaded, they die, they're divorced, they're beheaded. One survives after King Henry VIII dies. These are all of the wives of King Henry. So Catherine of Aragon that is the first wife. She's the one who he divorced, and then you can see he married Anne Boleyn. He got mad at her, he executed her, basically cut off her head. Then he married Jane Seymour, she died. He married Anne of Cleves, divorced her, married Catherine Howard, beheaded her, married Catherine Parr, and she became his widow once he died. These are some other pieces of information if you really wanted to start digging in to some information about the church. Also on the last slide there, you can go and get more information on the different wives of King Henry if you would like. What you are going to do today is complete your exit ticket. There are 2 News ELA articles to read, one on Calvin and one on Henry VIII. Both of those articles are about the Reformation, what Calvin did and what Henry VIII did for the Reformation. When you are finished with that, there is a Google Doc, which is a table which you are going to complete, comparing and contrasting Martin Luther, John Calvin, and Henry VIII. There are some different sections to fill out for the 3 reformers and the 3 Protestant Reformation religions. So you're just doing a compare and contrast. And we will see you next week. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email either myself or Mrs. Moore. Stay safe and healthy, and we will see you next week.